Okay, this video is a discussion of the syllabus for CIT 167, whose name is Switching and Routing Essentials. It is also sometimes referred to as Cisco 2 because it is the second course in a 3-course series of classes related to the CCNA certification. My name is Wayne Beach and I'm your instructor. Have had a number of you before in class, but some of you are new to me. That is, had somebody else different for CIT 161. My full-time job is in Central IT at the University of Kentucky, and I've also been teaching for BCTC and its predecessor, Lexington Community College, since the spring 1999 semester. There is a VIO video that will appear in your Blackboard course shell that has more information on me. To communicate with me, the best way is going to be via email to wayne.beach@kctcs.edu. Next, we have some division contact information. Dana Brown, our area coordinator, and Lauren Campbell, our assistant dean. I suspect you probably will not need this information, but if you do, here's all their contact information. Now, I'm not going to read the syllabus to you word by word, but you should go back and read this. What we have next is the official course description that appears in the KCTCS course catalog. The other thing to point out in this section is this is a 4-credit-hour course because there is a lab component along with the normal lecture component of the course. To take 167, the prerequisites are that you have successfully completed CIT 161. And if you're a CIT major taking 167, successful completion of 161 means you got at least a C. So an A, B, or C in that class. The learning outcomes used to be referred to as the course competencies are listed here. Basically what this is if you pay attention, you study the material, you do the homeworks, you take the exams, you do well on those. This is a list of things that you should be able to explain and or do upon successful completion of the course. Why it matters, this is going to matter most for people who are wanting to do the network specialty within the CIT program. This is a required class. Again, it is often referred to as Cisco 2. And this course is going to introduce you to switching and routing as well as wireless networking. As far as attendance and participation, this is an online class. So the way you show participation is by checking your email regularly and responding to it if that's necessary, and logging into Blackboard regularly, and of course completing your assignments by the due date. The next section talks about accommodations. If you feel that there is an accommodation that needs to be made in the classroom to be successful in this course, you discuss that with the Student Accessibility Services office, not with the instructor directly. So you talk to the SAS people, and if they determine that there is an accommodation or accommodations that need to be made, they will send me a formal letter. That letter will identify the student, and it will identify what accommodations I need to make for that student in the classroom. And listed at the end of this paragraph is their contact information if you need to get in touch with them. As far as required technology and equipment, years ago this was required supplies, and it would be things like, you need a flash drive or you need a floppy disk, things like that, kind of physical things to bring to class. With this being more technology based and being an 100% online class, You're going to need regular access to a computer, a webcam, microphone, and high-speed internet. Mobile devices such as cell phones and some tablets or things like Chromebook may or may not work for this class. Specifically down here for this course, you need a Windows, a Mac OS, or Linux-based computer that is capable of running the Packet Tracer software. Now, since you should have had 161, you should be familiar with Packet Tracer, but that's a Cisco device emulator, and there is not a version currently that runs on a Chromebook. So if you have a Chromebook as your primary device, you will need to figure out an alternative way to be able to complete your Packet Tracer assignments. You need a Blackboard account, which you should have, especially if you're watching this video. You should have a KCTCS email account that was assigned to you when you were accepted into college. And you are expected to have these technologies available to you by borrowing them or checking out if the college has a laptop loan program, going to a relative or friend's house or public library. Another thing is your textbook. Now, in the Cisco classes, your textbook is in netacad.com in what's referred to as the curriculum. So by having a NetAcad account, by virtue of being in this course, you will have access to, quote, the textbook. Now, if you prefer a physical copy, I listed under optional textbook materials the information you would need to get a physical copy of what Cisco Press calls companion guides. So this companion guide matches up with the curriculum that is online, and all the text and pictures and things like that are exactly what would be in the curriculum. So I know some people, for various reasons, prefer a physical copy. If that applies to you, again, here's information on how to get that. The next thing here is the no-show verification. Years ago, when classes were in person, the no-show policy was something along the lines of, if the student does not attend one of the first 2 class meetings, you could drop that student as a no-show and they would be removed from the course. In online classes, we have to provide something called an attendance verification activity. And what I do is I have a homework 0, which is a read the syllabus quote test. It's basically a true-false question that says I have read the syllabus and ask any questions that I might have had about the syllabus, true or false. And you need to complete that prior to the due date on January 22nd to prevent being removed from the course. If you happen to be removed from a course as a no-show, you cannot be readmitted or re-enrolled in the class in that current semester. The next section is graded glass components. This is something they added a while back, and I think this is a really good idea. Basically, any type of assignment that's going to be a significant part of your grade, I need to tell you what those are now and explain them. So in this class, here are the different things that I assign. I have things called homeworks, and homeworks will be assignments that are created by me. You will have Packet Tracer activities that are part of the Cisco Networking Academy curriculum, and I will assign those, and you will download them from the Academy and then take those into Packet Tracer and complete those activities. You will also have labs. These also come from the curriculum. Labs are typically things that in an in-person class you would do on physical equipment in the classroom, but since we're 100% remote, These will be things that you complete by using a web browser or that you can complete on your personal machine at home or on some type of network simulator like Packet Tracer or possibly the NetLab. There will be module group exams. These are module quizzes that cover material from 2 or more modules within your curriculum. These will be assigned at appropriate times after we complete those modules, and you will take those, and those will make up a big portion of your grade. And then there will be exams. You will have a midterm exam and a final exam. Your midterm exam will be created by me, administered in Blackboard, and will be proctored using Respondus Lockdown browser. As far as your final, it will be taken within NetAcad. It is written by Cisco, and it will also be proctored using the Respondus Lockdown browser, which we'll discuss a little bit more here in a moment. The other thing is typically within the NetAcad, for each course you have a practice final. If this course has a practice final, then that grade will be averaged in with your module group exams. As far as Respondus, this is a piece of software that you will download and install on your computer. We will do that as part of a homework assignment prior to the midterm. And to be able to successfully use and take an exam with Respondus, you need a working webcam and microphone. Respondus will not work on a mobile device. And again, as we get closer to the midterm, probably 2 or 3 weeks before, you will have an assignment where you install and use Respondus so that you can be sure that it's there when you need it for the midterm and that you kind of understand how it works. As far as grades, as of a couple of years ago, we do midterm grades, which is at the midpoint of the semester. Basically what the midterm grades are is I go in, and if I had to give each student a grade that day, what grade would they get in the course? And that kind of allows you to know how you're doing in the course. And then also, of course, at the end of the semester, you have your official course grade, which is your grade in the class for the entire semester. The way your final grade is calculated is the average of the Cisco module exams and the practice final is 40% of your grade. The score you get on the Cisco online final is 20% of your grade. The grade you get on your midterm exam is 20% of your grade, and the remaining 20% of your grade is the average of your homeworks, labs, and Packet Tracer activities. I use a standard grading scale of 90 to 100 as an A, 80 to 89 as a B, etc. As far as makeup work, when I give an assignment, I give a date that I expect it to be due, and it is listed as being due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When I started teaching online, I realized there were other people, for example, in Henderson or Owensboro, that are in the Central Time Zone. So they are, an hour behind us. So when I say 11:59 p.m., I'm talking about Eastern Standard Time. So if you live in the Central Time Zone, your due time will be 11:59 p.m. As far as withdrawing from the class, you may or may not know that up to the midpoint of the exam, you can just go into PeopleSoft and drop the class. After that date, you have to have my permission to withdraw, and you may or may not be aware that some instructors will tell you after that date, don't even ask me to drop. I'm not going to okay that, if you're still in the class at the midpoint of the exam. I have kind of the opposite philosophy. I feel that the decision to withdraw from the class is a personal decision. We may talk about it to make sure that it really is the right thing for you to do and that you completely understand, where you stand in the course. But ultimately, if you ask me to withdraw, I'm going to let you withdraw. Now, it's very, very, very important that that be done by the close of business the last day of class, which is the Friday before finals week. And the registrar's office is pretty strict on this. Years ago, I had a student email me at 6:30 p.m. on that last day of class and asked me to drop. And I told the student, and I CC'd the registrar and basically said, well, the deadline was 5 p.m., but if the registrar will okay you withdrawing, I will approve that. So about 8:30 Monday of finals week, we get an email back from the registrar that says basically the deadline was 5 p.m. The student submitted their request after 5 p.m., so they're in the class. And they ended up getting an E, unfortunately. So if you need to withdraw from the class, make sure you do it in the appropriate time frame. As far as email, any email you send, regardless if it's personal, work, or school related, should have a meaningful subject. In my class, a meaningful subject is something like the course number, problem with PKA 234. I know what class you're in. I know what assignment you're having issues with. I know when that assignment is due, etc. One important thing that's here in bold, although I usually have at least one student a semester that forgets this, is do not use the Blackboard messaging system. It is not set up, in my opinion, for convenient, timely communications with a student. If you send me a message, if you send it in mail, I would see it almost immediately. If you send it through Blackboard, I'll probably see it in a few hours or the next day. I'll see the message, I'll respond to it, and then it will bounce back because it comes from a do not reply type address. I will then have to notice that it bounced back. I will have to look up the student's email address. I will have to copy and paste the message from the bounced email into an email to the student. And, it's just frustrating and time consuming. So please just send me a normal email, is the summary of that section. Here are a list with links of some student resources that might be useful to you. Also, sometimes for this course we have an embedded tutor. If we don't have a specific embedded tutor for 167, often I will ask my 161 tutor to tutor for 161 type material that you may need a refresher on or may not have had. Basically, what this comes down to is sometimes I have students who have successfully completed 161 at another community college, and for whatever reason they were not taught everything they should know about number systems and or subnetting. So sometimes students that did not have me for 161 will need a little additional help when we get to topics that relate to number systems and subnetting. So there should be a tutor at least available for those type of topics in 167. Next, we have the Equity and Unity Statement, which you can read over. Then we have the Academic Integrity Policy. Basically, what this boils down to is work submitted in the class should be your work. It should not be work of another student. It should not be something you found off the internet. It should not be an AI trying to do your homework for you. These next two things I left in here because they're considered a required part of the syllabus, but they don't really apply to us. The first is the classroom recording policy. I have not, any time in the recent past, recorded a classroom meeting, such as a Teams meeting, but if I were, this is the policy that relates to the classroom recordings that might show other students, and I just left it in here in case we happen to do that in the future, and or if you have another class where you have a teacher doing recordings. The one thing that's a little new this semester is the Cisco Networking Academy has WebEx available to us as a meeting solution. I don't think I will use it, but I might, and if so, that would be another reason to leave this in the syllabus. The next thing is the closed campus contingency policy. Basically, this is what if you have a hybrid class or 100% in-person class, and all of a sudden we have another pandemic or some type of emergency that would prevent students from attending class. And this relates to how do you switch from a in-person class to a 100% online class in one of those situations. Since we're already 100% online, some type of emergency like a pandemic would or should have no effect on us. The last thing I have is the tentative course schedule, what we'll be doing week by week. I'm just going to hit the high points. The first is during week 8, which is the beginning of March. We have our midterm exam. It will be proctored, and it will be administered Monday through Thursday of that week. I will give more information about what modules it covers and how many questions there are and that type of thing as we get closer to the midterm exam. A couple of weeks after that, middle of March, we have spring break. And then we get down to the finals week, which is May 5th through 9th is finals week. Your final exam will be comprehensive, and it will be administered Monday through Thursday of finals week, and it will be proctored again using Respondus Lockdown Browser. So that's a brief run through of your syllabus for the course. If you have any questions, please email those to me and I will address them.